It is 5:30. We will call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Wyrock,
Present.
Councilmember Tate,
Present.
Vice Mayor Carrillo,
Present.
Mayor Flores.
Present. Thank you. We'll now go into oral communications. This is the opportunity to address the City Council on any matter scheduled for closed session. Unless additional time is authorized by the council, all commentaries shall be limited to 3 minutes. Is there anyone here that would like to speak? Is there anyone on virtually?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. Then we'll go ahead and move into the City Council closed session items.
Thank you, Your Honor. There are 8 items before the City Council in closed session this evening. The first, pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.8, Council Real Property Negotiators Property, APN 259-040-047, Agency Negotiator John Lawless and Jason Reinauer, Negotiating Party City of Porterville and SME Homes Incorporated, under negotiation terms and price. Item 2, Government Code Section 54956.8, Council Real Property Negotiators Property, APN 260-300-030, Agency Negotiator John Lawless and Jason Reinauer, Negotiating Party City of Porterville and CZEM Partners, LLC, under negotiation terms and price. Item 3, Government Code Section 54956.95, Liability Claim Claimant, Denosha Astorga, Agency claimed against City of Porterville. Item 4, Government Code Section 54956.95, Liability Claim Claimant, Julian Vasquez, Agency Junior, Agency claimed against City of Porterville. Item 5, pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9, subsection D, subsection 1, Council Legal Counsel, existing litigation, Amber Moreno v. City of Porterville et al., United States District Court, Eastern Division, case number 121-AT-00590. Item 6, Government Code Section 54956.9, subsection D, subsection 1, Council Legal Counsel, existing litigation, Cecilia Chavez et al. v. City of Porterville et al., United States District Court, Eastern Division, case number 122-CV-00794-ADA-SKO. Item number 7, Government Code Section 54956.9, subsection D, subsection 3, Council Legal Counsel, anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation, 3 cases in which facts are not yet known to potential plaintiff. And number 8, Government Code Section 54956.9, subsection D, subsection 4, Council Legal Counsel, anticipated litigation, initiation of litigation, 1 case. Staff's report.
Thank you very much. It is 5:31, and we will go into closed session. It is 6:35. We will reconvene open session and report on reportable action taken in closed session.
Thank you, Mayor. On item A3, claim from Dionysia Astorga, and a motion by Councilmember Stowe, seconded by Mayor Flores, and a 5-0 vote. That claim was denied. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilmember Wyrock, and then remain standing for an invocation or a moment of silence. Is there anyone that would like to come forth and do an invocation? Please.
Father, we ask you in this time of great turmoil, please help us solve the problems in Europe so that there is not any more war. Also protect our service members and our protective services, our firemen, our policemen, our ambulance drivers, and those who take care of us. In your name we pray.
Amen. Is there anyone else that would like to come forth and do an invocation? You may be seated. We will now go into the presentations for the Employee of the Month, and I will ask Councilmember Stowe to do that one.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have the privilege of announcing our Employee of the Month for November 2022, Mr. Austin Gonzalez.
Is he
Austin,
here?
you want to step up? I know
Where are
he's here.
you?
I saw
There you
him
please
somewhere.
step.
There he is.
Please
on
come
up.
forward. Oh, darn.
Firefighter Austin Gonzalez began his career with the Porterville Fire Department in June 2020. In June 2021, Austin completed his probationary year and started his task book to become an acting engineer. Over the last 6 months, Austin has been instrumental in assisting training division with standardizing the recruit academy lessons, plans, and test process. He has put in countless hours working with the instruction cadre, thank you, in developing a uniform product. Austin is also a member of the department's forcible entry cadre, where he teaches fire department members the latest studies and practice of forcible entry. Recently, he has been a member of the department's public information officer team, where he has assisted in coordinating events, disseminating information through our social media platforms, and providing the public with valuable information. Additionally, over the past year, Austin, along with his firefighters, rescued 2 members of the community from residential structure fires. The first incident occurred in December 2021. During the rescue efforts, the male victim was successfully removed without injury. Unfortunately, Austin sustained a major knee injury that required surgery and extensive rehabilitation. The second victim rescue occurred only a few months after Austin returned to duty from his injury. Upon his arrival, fire department members found a residential home with a large amount of fire on the second floor and a female hanging from the second-story window. Austin and other members of the department quickly removed the victim from the second-story window and extinguished the fire. Austin's favorite part of the job is knowing that he is fulfilling a family tradition in his fire service like his father, brother, uncle, and cousin. He is married to his wife, Jordan, and has 3 boys, Dax, Silas, and Titus. In his spare time, Austin enjoys spending family time, riding his dirt bike, and jiu-jitsu. Please join me in congratulating Austin Gonzalez as Employee of the Month for November 2022. Austin, on behalf of the City Council, the Mayor, myself, hard work, dedication, and your bravery. And I'd like to introduce your family. I'd say a few words.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for coming. It's an honor to get this. lot, those seem to be the most important days, so I appreciate them. They deserve all the credit for this. You know, at the end of the day, it's as simple as like, I'm just trying to be the firefighter that I want to go save them if something's gonna happen at my house, you know? So thank you guys for coming.
Wonderful, and congratulations. We will now go into the outstanding business. Zero Knox. Mr. Ridenour.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. At this time, I'd ask Zero Knox if they would like to stand up as we recognize them today. So the City of Porterville is pleased to announce Zero Knox as an outstanding business honoree. Zero Knox is a clean technology company. It's headquartered here in Porterville. They were founded in 2017 and specialize in developing, manufacturing, and selling electric powertrain technology, as well as integrating that technology into vehicles. Their cutting-edge technology extends to the agricultural sector, which, if you're from around Porterville, you know that's our heart and soul here. So Zero Knox vision is to empower the communities through innovation by focusing on renewable microgrids and strategic partnerships locally and worldwide. Zero Knox President Robert Cruz and CEO Vaughn Christensen, who is here with us tonight, both grew up in Porterville and are committed to growing local talent. Out of their nearly 40 employees, most are from the Porterville area. As industry interest increases in clean energy innovations, Zero Knox believes now is the time to focus on electrification. The company is ideally situated to lead the industry with oil fields to the south, wind energy into Hatchery, and some of the largest solar projects in the country nearby. The efforts to lead an electrical vehicle market do not stop in California. Zero Knox is also providing innovative technology in Ghana. Through their partnership with Jaspong Group of companies, Zero Knox is working with a waste management company in Ghana to convert 1,000 sanitation trucks into electric vehicles, which is the largest retrofit of electrification project in the world. Zero Knox anticipates reaching $10 million in sales this year, and Mr. Christensen says Zero Knox values salt of the earth qualities, grittiness, and intentional disruption. He says that Porterville is a wonderful community that fosters those values in its citizenry. Through support for local education efforts at Porterville College and Porterville Unified School District's Pathways program, Zero Knox is helping prepare the next generation of innovators right here in Porterville. The lineup of Zero Knox's electric vehicles include a lithium-ion battery-operated forklift and Tuatera Expedition vehicle. The electric vehicles can be seen at local businesses and farming operations, and they are making their mark in large companies as well, such as Universal Studios and Bayer. Zero Knox participates in advisory boards of Porterville Unified and Burton School Districts and is a member of the Porterville Chamber of Commerce. The company is actively welcoming team members who share their core values to help improve the Porterville community through innovation. Please join us in congratulating this innovative local business for its dedicated efforts to leveraging emerging technologies while creating local jobs. Congratulations, Zero Knox. It gives me great honor to present Zero Knox with the City of Porterville's Outstanding Business Award. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Yes, want to thank the city for this recognition. We were joking. We were a little concerned when the city was coming by that they were going to have some violation they were going to consult us with. And so we were pleasantly surprised when they were recognizing our contribution here to the community. You know, I was born and raised here in Porterville, as was my father, and my grandfather worked here. And so I do have strong ties to the community, love this community, and want to see it grow. And love that, we've been able to build a business that's changing the world right here from Porterville. And appreciate the recognition that, we're provided here. I want to recognize the others that we have here today. We've got Luis Garcia that handles our books. Jason Eggett is our COO, and we've got Josh Day as our GM for our local district distribution center. So I want to thank everybody, and it's much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you and congratulations. Nice. We will now go into oral communications. This is the opportunity to address the council on any matter of interest, whether on the agenda or not. Please address all items not scheduled for public hearing at this time. Unless additional time is authorized by the council, all commentary shall be limited to 3 minutes. I'd like to emphasize that the 3-minute per speaker time period will be adhered to so that the city council can, in an orderly fashion, proceed with its scheduled decision-making responsibilities. You will be asked to state your name and address for the record. Is there anyone that would like to come forth in oral communications?
My name's David Horowitz, 175 North Main Street, Porterville, Horowitz Jewelry. I'm here because I'm a little disappointed in our council. That's been a lot lately. I brought a copy of the Porterville Recorder. This was before our parade. If you read the headlines, it says, "Porterville stands tall." What a lie. Porterville veterans stand tall. The city does nothing to help the veterans with the Veterans Parade. They actually charge them a fee for holding this parade. I was very shocked to find this out. I was also shocked to find out that the Bandorama is paid for by the veterans. The school system doesn't do anything to help out with the Bandorama. And then on top of that, I was really amazed to find out that our Veterans Hall is closed on Veterans Day. The Veterans Hall, I understand, is owned by the city. It's the only one owned by a city. The rest of the VAs are owned by the VA. It's also the only VA that's not allowed to be open on Veterans Day. I don't understand that. I'd like to get some clarification on why we're not doing for our vets what we're trying to say we do for the vets. Because why would you take credit for something if you're not going to help them? I actually had to make a donation to the vets this year to help pay for the parade. So the people that are standing behind the vets are the small businesses that you people seem to be against. So I'd like to see you guys do something to take care of our vets. We wouldn't enjoy all the privileges in America we enjoy without our vets. So we shouldn't probably charge the vets for the parade and then take credit saying what a great town Porterville is. We love our vets. Doesn't work. Not for me. If we're going to love our vets, let's love them. Why do we have to charge them for this parade? You know, the city's got to not put out stuff like this where they stand tall when they don't stand tall. Thank goodness we had some good elections.
I have one point of clarification.
Please.
We do not own the
Who owns
Veterans
it?
Memorial.
They do. They do.
Really? Because I was informed that it wasn't owned by them and that they weren't allowed to open up.
No, that's the reason you should get information before you come.
Well,
because
I'll
we
double
don't.
check that because I'd like to know why
Thank
they're
you.
not open. Because it's
Thank you.
it's a Vets Day. They should be open.
I just want to clarify.
You know, but the biggest thing was the parade. We're charging our vets to put on the Veterans Parade, but then we're bragging about how we've got the longest standing Veterans Parade in the nation and how much we love our vets. But then we have to charge our vets to recognize our vets. And that doesn't make any sense to me. It's a function where the entire community goes and enjoys. Why shouldn't we take care of it? Why should we make our vets pay for it?
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to come forth under oral communications? Please do so now.
Good evening. My name is Josh Pearson, 285 West Willow Avenue here in Porterville, California. I'm the chair-elect for the Chamber of Commerce. here to give an update. We are very excited that we got 6 more new members over the past month. That includes the Kern River Conservancy, the China's Alley, Citizens Business Bank, Science Dippity Inc., Baja Fish and Shrimp, and Pools Plus. We are having our award ceremony this Friday, the 18th. It's at Knuckles Ranch. Food, cocktails, and networking start at 5:30, and the award show will begin at 7 o'clock. There are tickets still available for that, if anybody's wanting to come. And we wanted to thank everybody that showed up the other night. I saw our mayor there at Porterville Ford for Business After Hours. I want to thank everybody for their continued support. We also have the Children's Christmas Parade birthday that's coming up on December the 1st at 7 p.m. downtown Main Street. And then we have our first Friday coffee on December the 2nd at 7 a.m. at Galaxy Theaters, and will be hosted by the city of Porterville. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you very much. Is there someone else that would like to come forward under oral communications? Please do so.
So, good evening, council members. I'd like to address a grievance dating back.
Please state your name and address
I'm
for the
sorry.
record.
My name is Marco Galina at 1711 West Henderson, Unit 56. So this is in regard to a grievance that we've had since 2019. More specifically on how the city awards Business of the Year accolades to certain businesses within our community. I spoke with Jason Rudner in regard to this in 2019 over the phone, and unfortunately I wasn't able to meet with you in person. You were out or one thing or another. But I wanted to address this because now that the court has saw in my fiance's favor in regard to being employed at Giovanni's Pizzeria, she was not being paid properly for the longest time, and I filed this grievance with the city back in 2019, and yet they were awarded Business of the Year. So now that we have the court ruling in favor of this, I'd like to find out, what does the city do in regard to rescinding these accolades that we believe and we truly feel that this business in specific is not, shouldn't be awarded to? So that's where we stand on that. And unfortunately, back in 2019, we weren't able to do it because we didn't have the proof. But now that we do, we'd like to figure out, what does the city do in regard to rescinding these accolades? Because Giovanni's Pizzeria blasts on their wall Business of the Year 2019 provided by the city. So in regard to rescinding it, what is the process, or is there a process? And that's what I'd just like to address.
Leave your information with Mr. Ridenour so he can contact you.
Okay. All right,
Do it
thank you.
with staff. Is there anyone else that would like to come forward during oral communications? Please do so now. Do we have anyone on virtually?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, then we will move on. The AB 1234 reports, I am moving all the reports, numbers 1 through 9, to the end of scheduled matters. And we will go on now with the reports. And this is the time for all committee, commission, board reports, subcommittee reports, and staff informational items. With regard to the city and commission meetings, Parks and Leisure, is there anyone here? Do we have a report for Parks and Leisure? Nope. Library and Literacy Commission. Oh, excuse me. No? Okay, let's go on with the Library and Literacy Commission.
You can count on me. I'm happy to be here tonight. Our library has been extremely busy, and if you think that makes me smile, you're darn tootin'. We have requested that you, the council, let our staff have December 24th off. We don't think the library will be very busy that day. I wonder why. It's a holiday for some, but I hope you will agree with us. Our staff do run the library 7 days a week, and they do an excellent job. And some of the highlights from October are the virtual story times that are on Facebook, as I always report. 740 English story time students, 827 Spanish, for a total of 1,567 kids paying attention, singing, and listening along with them. The book club, which is in person, you can go down there. The book this time was The Tattooist of Auschwitz, and I understand that is a super book. I haven't read it yet. Had 9 members there, and they all received a copy of the book. Bilingual story time is now in person at the library, and this educational enrichment program is for toddlers, preschool-age kids. And what they do, it's done in English and Spanish. The staff read to them. They have songs with movement and activities such as playing with educational board games, coloring, things to teach them skills. And we had 184 participants this month. We have our teen-tober, teen-toddler. Well, I know some teens that are like toddlers. They're my great-grandkids. They had crafts throughout the months, and they had 112 participants. The Coloring Club, which is something I've never heard of other libraries having, but we do, and there were 112 participants, and we just started this last month, so it's pretty good, darn good. There's a Coloring Club for the entire family, so that you can encourage, family involvement. There's, we were at Pioneer Days. They had 130 participants view the booth. Big Dave, he's a library person. He participated in the Butterfield Stagecoach Days, and he tells stories, and they love that. There's a lot of other things here, and I could go on, but I want you to know there are going to be a couple of things, and I remembered at the last minute to print these up. Can you give each one of these? Are 2 posters of activities, and I wanted you to actually see them. I wasn't sure if you got them in other things, but there's a family game night where they bring games and they come and play, and it's not computer games. It's other types of games to encourage things. Our Halloween celebration had over 200 participants. Our literacy learners, Carmen has completed what she was doing and is advanced to a level 1, and Rita is making progress. It is so nice to have a full commission sitting there working and planning and ideas developing. I want to thank you for supporting us like you do, and thank you because we're looking forward to the Friends of the Library opening.
Thank you very much for the information. Do we have anyone from the Arts Commission? Okay, please let the person in.
Hello.
There's static.
Hello?
Is that here? That's on her side. Oh, there's some static.
Oh,
Oh,
is that better?
yes.
Okay. All right. So my name is Emily Luna, and I am the vice chair for the Porterville Arts Commission. The Arts Commission's quarterly scheduled meeting was on October 25th, and we did not have quorum, so no actions were taken. A new commissioner was appointed at the last city council meeting, and our next scheduled meeting will be January 24th, 2023. And lastly, we have a youth position available. And that concludes my report for the Arts Commission.
Thank you, Emily.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night. Do we have anyone from Animal Control? No. Youth Commission? No. Talk? No. Okay. We'll move on with the staff information report.
Thank you, Your Honor. One staff informational report provided, which is your monthly report of water conservation efforts from the prior month. So this would be for October 2022. As contained in the staff report, during the month of October, saw a 21% reduction in production, water production, compared to October of 2013, with a continued cumulative total of 25%. And then in that same time frame, there were 30 notices of violation and 4 administrative citations issued. Happy to answer any questions.
And council have any questions? Please.
Mr. Lawless, I recall, I think at our last, not our last council meeting, but a couple of weeks ago, there was somebody that received a notification that the state of the drought was incorrect with their bill. Did we look into that, and how did that turn out?
It was out of the, well, they did review all of the citations. I'll let Mr. Knight speak to that. They did review all of them, and there were, I think, a handful that were rescinded.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Right clarification, there was an issue with a mailing. We have since corrected that, and a new mailing will be going out providing that updated information. As a result of that error, we did rescind about 9 notices of violation. However, the other notices of violation were still related to excess watering running off into and past the residences and out of the time frames according to the irrigation schedule. Since we, as a transition to that error, we continued the enforcement as it related to the phase 3 watering schedule and continued public outreach and provided additional communication.
Thank you, Mr. Knight. Thank you, Mr. Lawless.
Any other questions, comment? No? Okay. Then we'll move on to the consent calendar. All consent calendar items are considered routine and will be enacted in one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these matters unless a request is made, in which event the item will be removed from the consent calendar. All items removed from the consent calendar for further discussion will be heard at the end of scheduled matters. There are items 1 through 12 on the consent calendar. Are there any noted conflicts or items? If not, how does council wish to proceed?
If there's no items to pull, I will make a motion to approve the consent calendar items 1 through 12.
We have a motion by the vice mayor. Do we have a second?
I will second that.
A second by Councilmember Stowe. No further discussion. Call for the vote. It passes. I had to turn around, correct? Okay, 5-0. Thank you. It passes unanimous. The camera's messed up, so they can't see it. Okay. Thank you very much. We will now move on to the second readings. There's several, 13 through 19.
Thank you. Yes, there are 7 second readings before the council this evening as a result of adoption of building code and fire code at your prior meeting. The first being second reading of ordinance number 1893, which is an ordinance amending Chapter 7, Article 1, and adopting by reference a 2022 edition of the California Administrative Code, Building Code, Residential Code, Energy Code, Historical Building Code, Existing Building Code, and Referenced Standards Code.
I have a question for legal counsel.
Yes.
This is the second readings for 1893, 1894, 1895, 1896, 1897, 1898, 1899. Can the motion be made all in one slate since they were brought to council?
Yes. Go ahead. You can.
They can be made and then read by,
And we'll read them all in all at once. We can do that too.
okay, because they've already been brought to council and this would be the second reading. I'm going to go ahead and make the motion that we give the second reading to the staff's recommendation individually from 1893 to 1899, items 13 through 19. Is there a second?
Second.
And a second. Any discussion? Call for the vote. Passes unanimous, 5-0. Please.
I'll begin with the ordinance number 1893, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Porterville amending Article 1 of Chapter 7 of the Municipal Code of the City of Porterville and adopting by reference the 2022 editions of the California Administrative Code, the California Building Code, along with designated appendices, the California Residential Code, along with designated appendices, the California Energy Code, the California Historical Buildings Code, the California Existing Building Code, and the California Reference Standards Code as published by the International Code Council. Ordinance number 1894, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Porterville, amending Chapter 7, Article 1A of the Municipal Code of the City of Porterville, adopting by reference the 2022 edition of the California Mechanical Code published by the International Association of Plumbing and Mechanical Officials. Ordinance number 1895, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Porterville, amending Chapter 7, Article 11 of the Municipal Code of the City of Porterville, adopting by reference the 2022 edition of the California Plumbing Code published by the International Association of Plumbing and Mechanical Officials. Ordinance number 1896, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Porterville amending Chapter 7, Article 3, Section 7-9, and deleting Section 7-10 of the Municipal Code of the City of Porterville and adopting by reference the 2022 edition of the California Electrical Code published by BNI Publications Incorporated. I skipped one. I apologize.
Oh, that was the green building you just did?
1897, an ordinance of the City Council, City of Porterville, amending Chapter 7, Article 4 of the Municipal Code of the City of Porterville, adopting by reference the 2022 edition of the California Green Building Standards Code published by the International Code Council. Ordinance number 1898, an ordinance of the City Council, City of Porterville, amending Chapter 12, Article 1 of the Code of the City of Porterville, adopting by reference, except as otherwise provided in this article, the 2022 edition of the California Fire Code, along with designated appendices published by the International Code Council. And ordinance number 1899, an ordinance of the Council, City of Porterville, amending Chapters 2, 12, and 17 of the Porterville Municipal Code.
Just making one note on number 15, it was ordinance 1895, an ordinance amending Chapter 7, Article 2, not Article 11. Just want to make sure it's for the record.
I appreciate
No
that.
problem.
Thank you for that clarification. It is noted, and we will now move on. We will now move on to the scheduled matter, item number 20.
Thank you, Your Honor. One scheduled matter before the council this evening is a consideration of city code prohibiting commercial vehicles from using certain streets. This item was requested by Mayor Flores to be considered by the council, which it approved for consideration this evening. This item was brought by Mayor Flores, generated by a letter received from Mr. Dick Hatfield, speaking about the use of residential streets in his neighborhood by commercial vehicles, namely large trucks, that are using Yates Avenue, Roach Street, and Worth Avenue as essentially a shortcut between Main Street and Plano, not wishing to take Gibbons Avenue as a thoroughfare, as it should be as a collector street, as well as Main Street and Plano serving as arterials. Under the city's code, you do have the ability to adopt by resolution prohibiting commercial vehicles for using residential streets by action and direction to the city engineer to have them posted and enforced by the police department. Kind of unique in this circumstance, should you choose to give direction and adoption of a resolution, is specific findings. And what's unique in this area is that there is a fleet fuel sales. Valley Pacific has a fleet fuel sales, what used to be Bob's Petro, at the corner of South Main and Yates, which as trucks have been fueled up, instead of going back out on a South Main over to Gibbons, they're just choosing to go through the neighborhood to Plano, in all likelihood to get to State Route 190, given that there is four-way access at Plano and 190, unlike at South Main Street and 190. So with that, that's staff's report. Happy to answer any questions.
Well, thank you. Yes, I did bring it to the council. I did meet with Mr. Hatfield, who brought his concern to me with this regard after he had shared that he had come in and spoken to our city manager to this regard. And I said that in order for us to have a discussion, it would be brought to the full council, and that if we had questions, we would be able to. I actually want to ask a question. When was this property annexed into the city of Porterville? Approximate year?
It's been within the last 5 years when the Aiken water system, there was about 25 homes or so that the well that served that failed, and the well was unrepairable, and the state, we were asked, the city was asked to extend a water line, emergency water line, to serve those properties, and subsequently developed the water system that is the Aiken water system now,
Thank you.
or is now on the water, is now a city water system.
Okay. I physically drove the area. I took South Main to Yates, and I couldn't get really through on Yates, and I kind of went through the fueling station to get around it and to get a visible. There has been a lot of work. It looks like sewer lines are being put in on Worth, and on Yates right now is where the activity is. But I did see where the fueling station is. And Mr. Hatfield's request was specific to the 18-wheelers, the big rig vehicles that have taken Yates to Worth and go to Plano versus going over to Gibbons as the street that he indicated was designated for the big trucks. So I'm bringing it to council here for a discussion amongst us as to how you feel about signage, how you would wish to proceed through a resolution, because it's a decision I can't make, and if you have questions for a clarification, I see Mr. Hatfield is sitting in the back very quietly. And to that regard, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for bringing this item to the council. I'm curious to note what all the properties along South Roach are zoned as. Is it a residential zoning with the lots and the improvements along that thoroughfare?
I'll defer to Mr. Ridenhour, but I believe it's all residential.
Yes, sir. Along Yates Avenue, if you exclude from Main Street to Second Street, it is residentially zoned all the way to Plano Street.
And then is the thoroughfare that we're discussing here tonight to restrict the access, when we annex that area, was there other developmental plans for that annexation besides a well? Is there further road improvements and development that's slated to be in that area where we'd have to take back this prohibition at some future date to allow safer access to 190?
Based on our circulation element and what we have received for development plans that we have in place today, I don't see where that would be the case. We have received conversation from Porterville College of their intent to have some development, some property that they bought, which would be north of Worth Avenue, that is adjacent to their property as well as adjacent to Porterville Unified School District property there. Other than that, that's the only improvements that I am aware of as far as development. I see Mr. Sanchez is turned his camera on, so he may have additional information as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. And yeah, just to expand on that, the circulation element just does show a collector somewhere in the vicinity of Worth Avenue between Main and Plano. With the residential district, as pointed out, it doesn't make a lot of sense to push a lot of traffic through in that area. And so with the Porterville College's plans to realign College Avenue, they do have a straight or a through street connecting Main and Plano, which probably would be more applicable to carry that increased amount of traffic.
Thank you. No other questions?
Thank you. Vice Mayor, did you have a question?
Yes. Do we have other areas in the city that we have had to make this provision for?
Yeah, we're not aware of any other, under this provision, that designation of limiting that. There is other in our code in terms of parking of commercial vehicles in residential neighborhoods. In fact, there were complaints of trucks being parked in this area, which PD did enforcement efforts of. So similarly to that, but in terms of actually posting or prohibiting, that's the word I want, we're prohibiting truck traffic through this area. They're not aware of any. You may have seen these in other communities where they may say no trucks in excess of 3 tons or something to that. And that's kind of the general, what you are seeing is that similar provision being enforced.
And that was going to be my next question was, what would that look like? I guess the signage and how would we monitor that? Like, what's our thoughts on it?
Yeah, PD would obviously be the enforcement agent. It'd be a vehicle code violation for having done that. I think signage at either Valley Pacific could, indicate that, as trucks fuel, not to turn right into the neighborhood, but go back out on South Main, whichever direction you need to go would be helpful, but certainly the city could do that as well.
Thank you.
Councilmember Stowe? Did you have a?
I don't have any questions, but turning left in a big rig right out of the plant, is that going to be a problem with the road? And because it's pretty close, I'm not sure. With Main and coming out of the plant. Yeah. Because I wouldn't want trucks going through my neighborhood either, but I was just worried about the left turn coming out of the plant. You think, I don't.
Well, no, I understand the comment, and I also understand that if this does happen, the enforcement would be on the police department, and how is that going to be in effect? I mean, how the monitoring of it, say for instance, if the signage does go up, and it is something that council agrees upon, that's kind of a difficult thing. Please, go ahead.
I have one more just I think going off of what Councilmember Stowe just brought up, I guess it would just be like a blanket question of do we have any foreseeable issues that the city staff see with us? Because I feel like this is a valid concern too, having these big trucks driving through the neighborhoods where families live. But do you anticipate, by looking at the streets and the size and the traffic flow, any issues that we should be aware of?
It's a Javier question, I think.
That's a question for, I think.
Yeah, it looks like the trucks would come in off of Main, get into that west driveway, do their fueling, and then I don't know if they come out on the second driveway off on Yates, or if they come on the 2nd Street, and then that's what pinches them in. But there is enough distance from 2nd to Main Street along Yates is 212 feet, which should be more than enough for them to align themselves and get back to the stop sign at Main Street.
That was my concern.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so it'll just be dependent on what movement they take to exit the fueling station to get back on the Yates.
Okay, that answers some of the questions. Please, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for this opportunity for a couple other questions. Are there currently any companies located on that road that might use commercial vehicles that would be prohibited from driving on their own road? No?
So at the corner of Main Street and Yates, as Mr. Lawless indicated, Valley Pacific has a fueling station there, as well as there is a Caltrans yard there, I believe, as well. Across the street from there is also a tire shop. So that would be, but at that level, I'm don't know if the delivery vehicles are, the trucks delivering that petroleum or tires are coming down Yates as well as Roach and Worth, or if they're coming down Main Street to make those deliveries. We'd have to do a study.
And we wouldn't have to put the sign right at the corner. We could put it down a couple hundred feet if
Yes,
need be.
yes.
Okay. And then, people might take a delivery of bottled water and sometimes those, so would it be a vehicle weight rating? Or would it be a vehicle configuration that would be prohibited from using this road? Because I'm thinking if somebody wants to build a house and a truck and trailer full of lumber shows up, they can't use that road. So they'd have to, I don't know, bring that lumber in under multiple loads on lighter weights. And I just don't want to block the
Correct.
access. And then my final thought was, if we don't use that road and we don't force, but we make the other access available, will those trucks then be going through other residential neighborhoods and possibly near schools or other heavy pedestrian access points?
Well, again, as I shared, primarily they're coming out onto Plano to get to 190. So they're going to be going by Porterville College,
Right back
going by Vandalia and the county's special education school. So that's already the route of traffic, which there are planned improvements on Plano. Caltrans has a planned roundabout at Plano and 190. It will be a very large one. It will have multiple, it will have, as you say, 2 lanes in the middle plus legs off of each side. And then a roundabout that will be constructed at College as it exists now at College in Plano to help facilitate the traffic that is in that area. And they're aware of the truck traffic that occurs. And that's what I will tell you, this has been the long conversation about, because initially Main Street was supposed to be all 4 turning motions. Right now there's only 2. And Caltrans said that is not allowed because there's a permanent allowance for JN 190 to be signalized. And because Main Street is so close to J Street, that they would allow the city to keep the turn, for a period of time, they were going to remove it and cut off Main Street. It was the hopes that there would be, again, full turning at Main. Caltrans said no, and Plano is the designated entry point. We're able to keep those motions, but that you can't get on eastbound 190 from Main Street. You can only do westbound. And so if you're trying to, if your truck's going up to the lake, working on the lake enlargement project or any of that, you're having to come back around. So you're on Main Street, fueling up, coming back. What you should be doing is get on Main Street, go to Gibbons, go Gibbons down to Plano and take Plano to 190, but that's not what they're doing. The path of least resistance is to pull out, go down Yates, go down Roach, out to Worth, out to Plano.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Lawless.
Councilmember Tate, do you have any comment or any input?
Just that somehow or another developing a truck route, so that, it's people, like when they drive big rig vehicles in for deliveries, there's a destination or a way of being able to cut around residential areas. And I don't know if there's any future plan of doing anything like that. I know that there's been other issues as far as parking big rigs and them actually, I know I see them on Olive Street all the time, so I don't know. Just throwing it out there.
Thank you. I'm just having the visual because I drove out there. I went in my truck. There was no way I was going to go in a vehicle, especially in the condition that the road was in right now. And to see where the fueling station was, and I was listening to Councilmember Stowe, if there is access to turn around toward and come back out through, there would be. there would be a turnaround to be able to get out and to go back onto Main. If you're a good truck driver, big rig. And depending on what you're hauling and what you're taking and making that turn would
My
be,
concern was if they would have enough room
That, yeah.
for alignment to get back so everyone else can make a left turn on Front Run instead of just blocking the road.
correct.
But Javier said there's no problem, so.
There's no problem with that. I'm gonna, is there any more questions or concerns?
I like the consideration in the way that the scheduled matter is worded, and I can support moving forward with it.
Thank
I just
you.
want to make sure that we're not going to impact that business in some way, that their people, can't get in there or get out of there without bumping into a fuel pump or
Correct.
something like that. So if we're all good with that, I think I'm ready to move forward. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
So what I'm hearing is with the direction and the information that we've given, that we have a resolution brought back to us on the next council agenda.
Yes, so we can certainly do that, and in there, that also provides some time, because that will clearly define the bounds of that, so it might be at Second Street as an example, and given that it's the city engineer that's tasked with this responsibility, gives opportunity for Javier and Daniel to evaluate this and come up with any other, certainly given the perspectives and provided by the council in the direction to any other potential considerations for it.
That was going to be my next question, if engineering has had time to review this and look at it.
Yeah, they have not done a deep dive on it. I mean, it's been evaluated. As I shared with you, there's been complaints of truck parking in this area, which is prohibited already, and there's been enforcement efforts on that. But primarily, you can see the path. And again, this has been a conversation for 20 years, ever since the city wanted to have full turning at Main Street, so that Main Street had that full off of 190, and Caltrans would not allow it. So they, like I said, allowed to keep the two turning motions that are currently allowed, but no other. So Plano ends up becoming the future, well, I will say interchange, but there will never be an interchange at 190.
Okay, please.
And we can't appeal Caltrans' decision on how we want to do our roads in our city limits?
It is their property. Yeah. And in their standards. And it's the distance between J Street and Main Street.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor, you had a
Yeah,
comment?
two more things really quick. When we get the resolution, the draft resolution at the next meeting, can we get a little more detail from the engineer just to kind of update us on some of those questions or concerns, I guess?
Yeah, certainly. In fact, if it would please the council, we can make it a scheduled matter, just so that if there's any question, it gets
I
pulled
would
off.
recommend you do that anyways, because
Yeah.
you're gonna,
Okay.
you'll want to have notice on this, and there may be, that way people
Thank you.
see it.
That's a good idea. And then the second thing was, I just wanted to say, I apologize for that question I had, because usually the staff report answers a lot of the questions, and I just noticed the answer to my earlier question about the city is not aware of any local streets that have previously designated this code provision.
Well,
So thank you.
for that. Thank you for that. So we will be bringing it back to the next city council meeting. Thank you very much. You've been given direction, and it will be brought back. And I just want to move on. We will now go back to the AB 1234 reports. And the first one is the Local Initiatives Navigation Center of November the 2nd. Councilmember Tate.
Excuse me. November 2nd was the day that we did the coat drive. And we had several meetings that we scheduled in October because we did the fundraising. I think you may have recalled me talking about it. So we were able to do that coat drive, and I thought I'd give you a little report out on what we accomplished. I'm going to combine, if you don't mind, because there's two places here to report about Link.
On November 9th, November 2nd, and November 9th?
Right, so
Okay.
I'm going to combine these.
Please do.
Okay. So we were very successful with our drive-through Chili Verde dinner. We were able to raise quite a large sum of money. Plus, we had a lot of our local businesses donate almost all the food, so there was little out-of-pocket cost to the committee because we had a very low budget to begin with. And we managed to get all of those tickets sold. And as a result of that, we wound up being able to raise over $5,000. And so, along with the Trinity Lutheran Church and other volunteers, we were able to buy all of the, not all, because we never have enough no matter what, but everything that we would need to try to keep our unsheltered residents with some warmth. And I might add that we were having summer-like weather up until the day that we actually did the coat drive. So that evening, they left, they were reserved. We actually had all kinds of different services for them that day. And we were able to give out 125 coats and 77 pairs of shoes, 211 pairs of socks, 102 sleeping bags, 42 blankets, along with shirts, sweaters, beanies, pants, so on. That day, we also had service providers there who were doing eye screenings for some of them needed reading glasses. We had medical optometry services. We also have a lot of individuals who have pets, so there were pet supplies. We offered haircuts. There were opportunities for them to get flu and COVID vaccinations. We also had Employment Connection there to be able to get some of them signed up for services. And then we also had books, quite a large number of books. And so we're already planning for next year. And we are going to be doing a point in time survey, which happens every year in January. So that'll be happening this coming year in January. And at that point, we have an opportunity, we have a way that you can donate, and the community does throughout the year, but we're looking for, we have a wish list. And so we are accepting anything that the community would like to donate, but beanies, gloves, rain ponchos, backpacks, toothbrushes, toothpaste, floss, shampoo, any type of grooming supplies you can think of, feminine hygiene, brushes, combs, and then year-round, we need all of these other services, which we provide each month. So anyway, any questions? Thank you.
Thank you very much for your report. We'll now move on with the Eastern Tule Groundwater Sustainability Agency Board. Councilmember Wyrock?
Thank you. I was receiving a dose of aloha, and I hope I brought
Well, then, Mr.
a lot
Knight.
back. So Mr. Knight
Mr. Knight, okay.
has the benefit tonight. Thank you, Mr. Knight, for attending that meeting on November 3rd. Go ahead.
No problem. Thank you, Mayor, members of council. Happy to report on the meeting from November 3rd, conducted at 2 o'clock. It was a hybrid meeting. Board members were in person, attendees via Zoom. At the meeting, we had a consent calendar. The consent calendar consisted of a few items. They were acted on in one motion. We accepted the minutes from the October 6th meeting, ratification of bills and expenditures, and the extension of the resolution to provide teleconferencing. The administration side, we reviewed a scope of services from Thomas Harder and Company, reviewing the budget to submit annual reports on the status of the Eastern Tule GSA and the annual report that would be submitted to DWR. In addition to that, we reviewed but took no action on a well mitigation program that was sent to the subcommittees for review to come back to the board for consideration. And in addition to that, we also reviewed the 7th amended rules and regulations. As you know, the Eastern Tule GSA and groundwater sustainability is an evolving effort and results in some ongoing changes and recreations of how things are managed and monitored. The 7th amended rules and regulations took into consideration of groundwater credits and transfers of the sustainable yield, provided some calendar noticing of the transitional water year and the use of that water and the ability of its transferring. We also took a report from Four Creeks on accounting and invoicing of the status on all the records for the Eastern Tule GSA. Also received a report from Thomas Harder Company, which is the Eastern Tule GSA's groundwater hydrologist, on the Technical Advisory Committee, the efforts for ongoing development of monitoring, mitigation programs, grant applications, and as an action item in the reports for that section, the board approved forward progress on a resolution for grant applications for ongoing sustainability efforts within the Eastern Tule GSA. The next meeting is scheduled for December 1st at 2 o'clock. Happy to answer any questions.
Councilmember Wyrick will be at that meeting.
Unless he's in Tahiti this time.
Yeah, something like that.
But
Thank
I
you.
will allow Mr. Knight to always report out. Excellent report out, Michael. Thank you for attending, as you always do.
Thank you so
I
much.
do like the term a hybrid meeting.
Yes.
Yeah, is it anything like my golf club? I sliced that one, so.
Thank you. Now, the next one is the Social Services Transportation Advisory Council. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to ask, am reporting on number 3 and number 4, the Social Services Transportation Advisory Council STAC and Transportation Forum. If I can report on those at the next meeting.
Okay, there'll be carryovers.
Thank you.
Number 3 and 4. The Tulare County Association of Governments, Tule River Tribe Active Transportation Program Project meeting. That one's mine, and it's pretty much a one-liner because we did meet. It was the projects, the ATP projects, they missed their grant application by 2 points, but it was to continue moving forward with projects, which information was going to be taken up to the tribes so that they can tell us which projects they would like to move forward. And that concludes that report. The Porterville Area Development Authority, the PATA Board of November the 9th. That was yours, or Mr. Councilmember Wyrock?
We both were in attendance, and I forgot my notes.
Oh, so.
I was rushing to get here. I'm sorry.
I don't mind. I have a few notes. And
Okay.
I know Mr. Lawless was there. And actually, Mr. Lawless, if you wouldn't mind discussing items 6 and 7 from the agenda there, which were the local road improvements coordination, and then the Tule River Tribe Active Transportation Plan update.
Yeah.
You were well versed in those historical trends and current place.
I'd be happy to provide a report of the whole meeting if you like. Whatever, you want me to just speak to 6 and 7? 6 is just dealing with the continued road collaboration or cooperation, I would say, and specifically right now on the north side of the airport, there is an earmark request that's being prepared through TCAG, which TCAG is going to be considering those earmark requests at its upcoming meeting in December, which will be pursued in our representation either with Congressman Valadeo or Salas, whoever is resulting elected. The mayor and I have met with Congressman Valadeo on that, was very receptive to what was being looked at with development of roundabouts and the extension of West Street, which will turn into a new alignment of Worth. And so spoke about that in terms of the roads coordination. And as the Tule River Tribe and Eagle Mountain Casino continues to make improvements to the infrastructure in and around the casino project, according to their environmental document. So that was a primary piece about roads. And then under the ATP, the portion of the tribe ATP plan, which is to account for both the sports complex, fairgrounds, and casino project, is still in development. The first part of the plan was completed, which was on the reservation for the Tule River Tribe, and a grant application was submitted, as the mayor was alluding to. They came very close to being awarded a significant grant. I believe the grant application they applied for was $7 million, but they were not selected. The score was just not quite high enough. TCAG is working, and that was the purpose of that meeting, was to look at, through TCAG funded dollars under the ATP program, to do a project at about $2.5 million. And so when we were at the meeting, left with them, there are phases to the plan for implementation on the Tule River Reservation, and what's called Phase 1 is about, like I said, about $7 million. So looking at how to take what parts of that plan could be implemented at $2.5 million in improvements in around, probably around where their administrative office and mailbox and youth center and gymnasium are, if you're familiar with the reservation and their administrative center. So those were those two items. And I know that the mayor is going to be following back with Member Garfield about because the tribal council was going to be considering those this week in the hopes of.
Thank you, Mr. Lawless. The rest of the meeting, there was a fully prepared agenda. We adopted the AB 361 and Ralph Brown Act for remote attendance. Item 2 was the reorganization of board officers, in which the president is Gary Santos, and I will be serving as vice president of this organization. We then moved on to the approval of the draft minutes of July 15th, 2022, with no discussion, and it passed unanimously 3-0. Then we spent a bit of time regarding Porterville's reimbursement of eligible expenses and a construction update of the tertiary treatment wastewater facility and collection system. That also passed at 3-0. That fourth item, I'd like to spend just an additional moment on it. They submitted 4 months' worth of invoices that were fully backed up with proper documentation. It was submitted for our review, so again, they were all properly invoiced and we approved the payment. Mr. Knight reported out on some planning that's being done at the state level. It's been delayed, and there's going to be a little bit more time needed for their permit to be issued to allow us to operate the facility. I think I have that right. Is that correct, Mr. Knight? Around April. Yeah, pretty much.
Yes, that's correct, and there has been an update. So we received draft comments Monday for the Title 22 engineers report, and those details have been circulated to the consultants and the group to review, and we're working on a response back. So the timeline was much better than an additional 6 weeks.
Thank you. They invoiced for some orders of specialty equipment that we were assured will be properly secured behind locked fences, and it's moving right along. They're contracting a lot of information, or having the contractors complete a lot of the work. This little section here, item 5, we went over some contract specifications and special provisions related to 3 quotes that came in for some work related to, so that I say it right, John, it's a storm water retention basin project.
Adjacent to the Frank Kern.
Yeah, and it's right along the Frank Kern Canal. We received 3 quotes. The first quote came in at $11.6 million, and they had a credit that they thought that they could build it for $2.5 million less, with a couple of engineering and constructability changes, and that was submitted by Clark Brothers. The next lowest bid came in by A. Tykert and Sons. They were slightly above $9.9 million. And the third quote came in, the lowest quote came in, I believe by a local developer, engineering firm at $7.7 million, Mitchell Brown General Engineering Firm. So we approved the award to Mitchell Brown General Engineering in agreement with Neil Penrons, the chairman of the Tule River Tribe Gaming Authority. So that was item 5 on the agenda. Item 6, looks like we're looking for an earmark for, well, John mentioned 6 and 7 already, so I won't go back over those. So that would be my report on the Porterville Area Development Agency. Are there any questions?
No questions? Thank you. Next one we go on is to the Calvans Board. Vice Mayor.
The Calvans meeting was canceled for November 10th.
Okay, now we go into the Tulare County Regional Transit Agency Board of November the 10th. Did 3 of you attend?
I did attend.
Okay,
I
you
have,
were- okay.
I have some notes.
Please.
We met on November the 10th at 6 p.m. There were 5 members present, so we did have a quorum. There were actually quite a few people in attendance, much like in this room. Some, I don't recall seeing anybody as a member of the public, however. We had our call to order, the Pledge of Allegiance. There were no public comments shared. We had a closed session item, which is something that's kind of related to Porterville, and I owe it to some people in this room to have a conversation about that closed session item. We went through some reports, reports from different committees. There's a safety committee, and they're working on finalizing a safety committee plan for, I believe, their drivers. We were told that it will be ready shortly. There was one presentation by Panasonic. There's a challenge with Tulare County and all of the cities that are a part of the Tulare County Regional Transit Authority having different vehicles that charge differently. And Panasonic has approached the organization to provide at no cost some oversight and some planning and engineering so that they could globally help manage the electrification of the fleets. And it was, it sounds like a win-win. And after I left the meeting, I'm driving home and I'm thinking, boy, it would be nice if they could do some mentoring of some high school people or some people in our colleges, because they're going to be designing the software that's going to bounce off of satellites and affect charging stations. And this isn't something that's done in a lot of locations, and this is the first project that Panasonic is seeking to do. Reputable firm, a lot of good equipment available, and I think the agency really supported that presentation. We went through some consent calendar items. We approved the minutes. Again, Assembly Bill 361 to continue remote attendance. There's a service agreement with Tulare County for staffing. And then there was some discussion about executing a lease with the County of Tulare for separate offices for this agency. The quote came back pretty high. I mean, it's a nice building in Tulare. It's off of Acres where the Sheriff's Department is. It's a multi-story building, and it's a whole wing on a lower floor. But they thought that we wanted to get a little bit more information about our financial house, making sure that it's in order before we go and lease a big property. And then they're also meeting in a small building on Church Street, and they're co-located there. And I suggested maybe that their co-location partner can go find a place to rent, and we'll just take over this building. But they're going to redo that, and they're going to come back. And we actually talked about maybe even looking for a building to buy, maybe for $1 from the county. There was also some action items, some more grant applications to strengthen mobility and revolutionizing transportation grants. Passed with a 6-0. We approved our board meeting schedule for 2023. We're amending the joint powers agreement and bylaws, such as with any new agency and a growing agency. Sometimes you have to revise some of the agreements and bylaws. Porterville Unified School District came up to see if the agency, the Tulare County Regional Transit Agency, would be willing to negotiate an agreement with Porterville about supplying transportation after hours, not in a school bus, but maybe in a charter bus, or having drivers in some of the district's vehicles. That did pass with a 5-to-1 vote. There was one member that thought that the agency's maybe biting off a little bit more than we can handle. It is a busy agency. There's a lot of working, a lot of people putting a lot of energy into a lot of different areas. And I must say that Rich Tree is doing a great job over there. There was some discussion about a January election and seating of a board chairman and vice chair. And then there was the director's report. Some good information about grant statuses would be nice to see. And then I did ask that they prepare some information about the budget, the payments, the revenues. We'll recall here in this room that not only Porterville, but other member cities contributed a substantial sum of money to help them keep drivers in the seat. So we're going to try to get a financial report from the agency shortly. And then there was a quick presentation about fare collection. Now you can ride any of the transit agency vehicles throughout the county with a uniform collection, fare collection process. Lots of ways that you can pay for your travel. So that's my report on that. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that information. Vice Mayor?
Attendance also. I just wanted to add a couple things. That was a really good, thorough report. I think it would be good to have the director's report back, just to highlight some things out of there, because it's very good. It's thorough, it's a lot of good information and good examples. But I did just want to point out one really quick thing. I noticed, so I'm new to this committee, so I do a lot of listening and reading of the documents. But I did notice right away that a lot of the pilot projects, the examples, and even that agreement that was discussed with the school district are all based on Porterville and Porterville services. So I was pleased to hear that, and were used a lot as an example, so in a good way. So I just wanted to mention that.
I just want to make the comment that Porterville is in the lead in a lot of the projects, and it's being looked at for the accomplishments that we've made, especially and in particular in transportation. We had a gem, but he continues to work, and it's good to be said. All right, thank you very much, Council, for your reports. We will now go into oral communications. Is there anyone that would like to come forth in oral communications? Okay.
Mayor Martha Flores and council persons. My name is Richard Hatfield. I live at, and have lived for the last 50 years at 253 Worth Avenue. You've talked a lot about Worth Avenue tonight. In our town of Porterville. When I first started discussing the 18-wheelers on those three streets of Worth and Yates and the other one, I was concerned only with the 18-wheelers. I'm not sure what effect this banning of commercial vehicles will do, unless I misunderstand what the code is. That might keep FedEx and other delivery services from coming onto the streets that are designated as commercial. I don't know what that is.
It won't be affected, Mr. Hatfield.
What?
it won't be affected.
So those vehicles can still come on. So what do they consider a commercial vehicle?
The draft will be presented at the next council meeting of a resolution. If you heard the conversation that we had here this evening to that regard, it will be brought back at the next council meeting with all the information we directed. So, but it does not affect that. We were dealing with the large vehicles, the big rig vehicles, the 18-wheelers.
Okay, that is my concern. I don't imagine any of you who live in residential areas have a 18-wheeler past your door.
No,
as
but
often as
thank
we
you.
do. And they're not a comfortable sight, nor I think the city has taken in consideration what they do to the streets, those heavy vehicles. All you have to do is look at the intersections where they stop and they get all crumbled up. And I don't think that's a reason or justifies their being on those residential streets. I'll stay aboard until next week, or next council.
Next council, thank you very much. Is there anyone else that would like to come up for oral communications? Do we have anyone on virtually?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. We'll now go into other matters. Councilmember Tate, is there anything you'd like to say?
I would like to thank the city staff for all of the assistance during Veterans Day, all of the planning and everything that goes into these events. It was enjoyable. I think it's amazing to look back a year ago, what a difference a year can make. Because we had a Veterans Parade last year, but I was on 2nd Street working the COVID clinic. So it was nice to be able to get together as a community. I'm very proud of the time that I've had here on this council so far. And I really appreciate all of our city workers, our law enforcement, our fire department, all of the services that you provide to keep all of us as a community safe. I believe that one of the most important things about being a council member is to ensure that we provide public safety, health and safety. And I feel that we go way above and beyond. I don't think anyone realizes how much energy and time that we all put in to the different projects that help us along. And I'm very I feel very fortunate that I was able to be part of that. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilmember Stowe?
Thank you, Your Honor. The skydiver, speaking of Veterans Day, was so cool. Thank you, Tracy and Jason. That was pretty neat. That was a very good feature to bring for our Veterans Day parade, and everybody in town really appreciated it. And you should have heard all the chatter in the babble afterwards. Like, man, did you see that guy? But I have to tell you, my grandson says, well, he really didn't dive. He jumped, so I just have to let you know. He's like, if you dive, you go head first, he said. But I'm thinking, But anyway, that was really nice. It was a nice feature.
I'm glad you volunteered to be the skydiver next year.
But, yeah, next year, I'm jumping out of the plane, so you guys don't have to worry about them. I got it covered. So don't worry about it. Good Lord, if I'm here, then I'm jumping and I'll land on, I don't know what spot, but I'll land on a spot. But anyway, and to get more seriously, I want to thank staff for all your assistance and support throughout the past 8 years. This is my last one, right?
No, not yet. Hold that. Just hold that, okay?
Oh,
Hold that one for
well,
the next one.
Yes, I did.
Not yet.
I was out the door.
He even asked me. I said, not yet.
Well,
Hold off on that.
okay, then next week,
No, not next week.
Oh, not next week. Oh, got us. Okay.
Okay.
December 6th. All right, then I'll make it December 6th. But I want to remind everyone that had political signs up that they are scheduled to be removed within city limits. If not yesterday, it's tomorrow, I think. So it's coming up really soon, so don't forget to remove your political signs if you have any up. The election results, have they been certified?
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay. All right, well, that's all I have.
You
Thank
sure?
you. I think so.
I'm positive.
I thought I was out. so.
No, not yet. Councilmember Wyrock.
Thank you. I've lived in town for 12 years, and this is the first time I've been to the Veterans Day Parade, and shame on me. I got here a little early, and I walked Main Street from down here all the way past Faggart and turned around and came all the way back down. And then I rode through the parade and got dropped off at the far end. And then I walked back while the parade was actually going on. And there was a couple of times I stopped and just watched some of the people participating in the parade. One float that came to mind was Setco's. And they had a replication of the Vietnam Memorial that we have over here at Henderson at Veterans Park. And I don't know, it just did something to me to see that chopper and those names. You know, you couldn't read the names, but I've been over there and I've read the names on those monuments. And then to look around and to see all of the people on the left side of the street and on the right side of the street, and it wasn't about who's on the left and who's on the right and who's conservative and who's liberal. It was just all about the people coming together in Porterville, celebrating something that is just incredible. The sacrifices of our veterans, and then all of our veterans that have served and have come home. And to see that, and I know this is recorded and it's on YouTube or whatever, but if we could just start Porterville all over again on the day of parade and move forward into the future with that type of unity and community coming together to participate, what a city we will become. I mean, we're already a great city, but it was just profound to see what I saw that day. And I think everybody that was there saw it as well. There was, clean sidewalks, before the people started setting up. There were clean windows, there were garbage cans spread about, and I know a lot of city staff helped get the streets ready. I did hear, we all heard at the open comments about, what we charge the veterans maybe for some support. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'd like to consider that we take a look at that, and if we did, find a way to reimburse that money, but I don't think that's the case. I'd also like to thank Public Safety, as always, your commitment to the people of Porterville, and even supporting other agencies that are working here in town so that everybody stays safe and we take care, we get the trash out of town. I think the word's going to go out that, you don't want to set up shop in Porterville because this is just not the place for that. And maybe it gives people a chance. I was in construction and we have drug testing and alcohol abuse, and when I used to train on that, I would just share that some people have a personal health condition that maybe they should try to get under control before it becomes something of a disciplinary matter and it screws up your life. And I would just leave it at that. And, the effort that our police and fire go through to prevent incidents from happening here and then respond appropriately is just very heartwarming. I'm thankful for them. There has been some comment that I've heard in the couple of months I've been on the council about a lack of information, and I just really applaud the efforts that we're making to get information out. I couldn't help but wonder what it would be like on the Veterans Day Parade next year to have little kiosks, like little magazine racks, where the next quarterly update of what's going on in Porterville could be there. But people can come to our Porterville website and they can find information there and find some different topics that might appeal to them, even possibly some committees that they might want to join and be a part of. I did hear some items in the last couple of weeks about the homeless to work programs and how our agents, our directors and our city services are working with different agencies to help some homeless people get reemployed. That's just great to see all of that. Next thing is Mr. Lawless and I, we've heard here even at the council about some areas around schools where there's maybe not enough traffic control devices installed. There is engineering and I believe budget. No, there is going to be, we're going to be looking at North Newcomb and West Mulberry Avenue, John, near Monache, for that conflict with all the pedestrians. They are the students crossing, coming and going from school. And there is budgeting and engineering, thanking the city staff and Javier for the work that they're doing on getting traffic control installed at West Westfield Avenue and North Lombardy Street and West Westfield at North Westwood Street. I'd like to bring something up that maybe we've never talked about before, and just a point of clarification. I know we're in this drought, and I'm wondering if all of our city-owned buildings and facilities, if we've ever done a survey on water consumption, you know, having a local plumber come in and fix leaking faucets, making sure that we have low-flow devices on it, using, again, local contractors. But I don't want to be wasting water here in the city buildings. There was an item on the council that we consented to, which is design build. Some language that's going to be coming out on design build. And I know that we've talked months ago at a council meeting about hiring suppliers locally if the contract value is above a certain amount. You know, we'll only buy, say, concrete in Porterville and have it, you know, even if it costs a little more, but it's local. And maybe with this design build element, or even all contracts above a certain dollar amount, maybe just construction, I don't know, that if it's a minority business or a local contractor, maybe there's some kind of rating like we did with cannabis, to where, you know, not only the lowest price, but other determining factors that we might want to look at, local suppliers, minority, and again, local contracts would be good to see. Three last little things. I'm sorry for taking so much time. The first, you know, kind of related back to the pedestrians around the schools. I know the schools are getting busier, and I'm not sure if we've got any schools set to break ground, but I really hope that the school district does not allow students to start attending until all that public access is taken care of. We do not need anybody hit by a vehicle around our schools, and if there's a new school coming up, let's make sure we have good access around those schools. And kind of the same with developers. You know, I'm pro developers. I'm a carpenter. I'm a framer. I get it, and I like high quality, you know, homes. But the city improvements, I think, really need to be in place and closed out before, in my humble opinion, we move forward with other proposals and things like that, or in lockstep with them as they're rolling out new projects and new programs. I know we want the jobs, we want the homes, we want affordable homes, we want nice homes as well, more expensive homes, but let's get the improvements in place before we have more unfinished subdivisions. And then same goes with annexations. You know, we heard about some roads and maybe some bridges and some access in some areas where we annex the property, and I know it can't happen right away, but Mr. Lawless and I, we had a nice conversation today about the approaches into our city. And we're going to be seeing some improvements over the next couple of years on Olive, I guess, where we're coming into town. And there's a lot of road construction out by the casino. So just travel safely in and around these construction zones, and that way we'll make sure nobody gets hurt. And finally, if you've never been to Hawaii, Hawaiian Airlines has a credit card. And if you apply for this credit card and get a credit card, you get 2 free round-trip tickets if you just buy a cup of coffee. You buy a cup of coffee, you get 2 free round-trip tickets. I mean, the hotels and the food's going to cost you a lot of money over there, but it's a chance to get away. Free flight, 60,000 miles. Not that I'm promoting an ad, but anyways, Mayor, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Stowe remembered one thing.
Yes, one more thing, and I just want to say, I know that Mr. Horowitz got up and said that the city charged the veterans for the parade.
We don't.
And that's not true, unless it just happened just recently, but the 40 years I've been involved
No.
in the city, we have not charged a cent.
In fact, the city contributes about $25,000 in in-kind support for it.
That's what I was
That-
going to say.
What I think happened is that the veterans, they were charged $15,000 by KC-24 to televise the parade. And what I was told is that there were folks that contributed. So that is what he paid for, was KC-24 to do that. But even we provided our boom truck for KC-24 to be able to do that. So the only charge that is the dollar business license for vendors, which is a requirement of your code of any parade, that if there are vendors, that they pay the $1 day business license. So no charge. In fact, you put in about $25,000 with all the police support, public safety, public works, all those things you spoke about, and the memorial. The Veterans Memorial Building is owned by the Memorial District, which is on your property tax.
Correct.
And it was open because I was invited to go have a sandwich afterwards, and I said, no, thank you. But it was open, that they had sandwiches for the veterans and for people. Please go ahead.
No, I just wanted to let everyone know that the
Yeah.
city does not charge. In fact, when I
Right.
worked for the city, it came out of my budget, so I.
No, not correct.
Thank you.
And I appreciate that you said, please come informed. Vice Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Stowe, for bringing that up, and I just gonna really miss your institutional knowledge, I think, from these meetings. One thing, I just wanted to thank Councilmember Tate for the updates from the Link Committee and all your involvement, and for reporting back on those numbers. I think that's really valuable for us all and the community to hear how much was given back. The second thing I wanted to bring up was an incident that happened, and it all goes into the Veterans Parade, and I'll keep this short. But the Tule River Veterans Post that I spoke about last time, an unfortunate incident happened over the last few weeks, and there's a huge conference every year that's called National Congress of American Indians, and it's held all throughout the United States. And in the early month of November, it was held in California, in Sacramento, near the state capitol. So the Tule River vets that I mentioned before that travel around and provide color guard, they attended that in Sacramento, and while they were there, their van was stolen, and all their flags, equipment, and their traditional staffs that they've had for numerous years and through numerous color guards. So on about Monday or Tuesday, the week of the Veterans Parade, I overheard the conversation from the commander, Stanley Santos, to our administrator discussing that he was wondering, looking for flags because they were not going to miss the Veterans Parade. They participate every year. And so I heard him say that everyone's using their flags because it's Veterans Day coming up. It was within a few days. And so that I heard him saying he's going to go to Walmart if he needed to and get small flags so that they could carry those. Sorry. But I wanted to thank the city manager and Chief Cogburn and the fire department for finding some flags for the color guard to borrow, and so that they could have the flags on their float. They did have at least 2 on their float, and they still participated in the parade. So thank you for that, and for even making an effort, because when we made the call, it was, potentially, we're not going to find flags anywhere because everyone's going to be using them. But, just for the city to be aware that this is going on with our partner tribe, and then also that the veterans will be in the parade, and I didn't want our city staff to not be aware of that. But the city manager went further and did reach out, so that happened, and I just wanted everybody to be aware of that. And I'm grateful, and I'm sure they are, and they'll probably voice that at some point in their own way. But so going into that, the thing that I really love to participate in and have been attending the Veterans Parade since I was a kid and then a teenager and then adult. And then now as a city council member, I choose to participate in the run walk every year. And the reason I like doing that is because I like being out there with the community in a very comfortable, interactive way. And it's just something I like to do in the community. This year, I was really, really happy that my daughter, she's been having a hard time with her 2 little ones, and she was able to come and participate and pushed her double stroller with my 2 grandkids for the whole 5K, and she really loved it. It was good for her, and she got to be out and see a lot of family and friends. I talked to Donnie Moore that morning before the event started, and I just mentioned there's a lot of people here. There's more than the last, year and years before. And he mentioned, well, last year we had over 600, and that's the most we ever had. And he said there's over 800 signed up this year. And then during the announcement, I heard him say there was 860, I believe, but I could be wrong there. But that, I thought, there could be 1,000 people out here right now participating in this. Those are just the people that signed up. They actually ran out of T-shirts, so he said they were going to have to order more. So with that becomes more police, more fire, more public works, all of our staff are out there. So very proud to see everybody. And I think my favorite part of the whole thing is being with the community, but as you're doing that 5K or 10K, whether you're walking or running, there's people with their dogs, their kids, their families. But when you're coming down Main, you see all the banners, you see all the families and kids lined up already sitting for their spot. And I look at the clock, I'm like, these guys are at least an hour, 2 hours, waiting for the parade to start. And then all the floats along the way. So I really love that part of it, and being able to walk down Main like you talked about, and seeing everybody and seeing like the beginning of that whole day about to go down. So just really pleased with that, and I think it's, looking forward, everybody's starting to, attend the events and take part and really be together. And I'll just end with the last thing is just enjoy each other and your loved ones. I know as we're going to all be getting together for dinners or meals during this season, and just take care of each other and the elders. And that's all I have tonight.
Notice she said elders, and no, it's my turn. There are so many things that are going on everywhere. Porterville is a very vibrant and vivacious town. You just need to look around and attend events. On November the 9th, Mr. Reidenauer's department and Mr. Lawless and I attended the Tulare Kings Hispanic Chamber of Commerce Ambassador Luncheon. The guest speaker was Rogelio Caudillo, who is in-house of the Eastern Tule River Groundwater Sustainability Agency. That is a venue where business owners and businesses come and nonprofits and are able to share and network and provide a little bit of their business. And it's a showcasing. On November the 10th, again, I call it the A-Team, Mr. Reidenauer's department, once again, and I attended the Porterville Chamber Business After Hours, hosted by Porterville Ford. Veterans Day, it was fantastic. You could feel the energy everywhere you walked. I arrived at 8:30, and I actually got to see my son, my daughter-in-law, and my 2 grandsons as they came across the finish line, and excited to see others starting to come in afterwards and having conversation with them and speaking to them. As I made my way to the corner of Main and Morton, where the vehicle was, it was to talk to people, meet with them, and a lot of people had started to arrive very early so that they could claim their area as to where they were going to sit. And I got to speak to them. And what was kind of nice and unique, because you reacquaint with friends and then you meet new friends, and then I walked down Main Street to talk to people as well, and Fernando made the comment, hey, that's pretty cool, you're just out there talking to people. I go, yeah. But once we knew that 10 o'clock and the parade was going to start, we were all excited and kind of antsy, and once we saw that parachute come down, it was just breathtaking. I mean, to see how he was navigating the flag and making it and turning it, it was just something to see, because my husband served in the military, he served in the Army, and the respect of the veterans, this community upholds and supports all veterans to that regard. So again, it was something that I've attended. I won't tell you how many years I've attended the parade, but it's been over the years. This had to have been one of the most exciting ones in a long time. They're all exciting, and everybody comes to hear the bands and everything, but man, I clapped so loud when Menachie went by. I almost jumped up and down, but I was afraid I was going to fall off the chair that somebody had gotten me. This Friday, I will be in attendance at the Porterville Chamber Awards Banquet. I want to say congratulations to Kent Hopper, the Man of the Year, and Karen Vanny, the Woman of the Year. I know that Councilmember Stowe in 2017 was honored as Man of the Year, and I was honored in 2015 as the Woman of the Year. So these are recognitions that are, it's honor, and it's a warm felt, unexpected. Tomorrow I will be attending the Homeless Task Force meeting. Tomorrow, Mr. Lawless and I will be recorded so that we'll be on TV. It's the Eagle Mountain Countdown, and we've been invited to participate in a little video clip. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see how that one goes. And we have to sign the authorization, so we'll see. Like I said, we'll be here. I want to thank staff, and I'd like to see all the people that are on Zoom to please turn their cameras on, to let me see their faces, because I know that Maria won't. But as I turn it over to Mr. Lawless, I want to thank everyone. You guys did a lot of work, especially I saw the vehicle. Look at those guys. Look at them. Look at that. I actually, I'm not sure where they're at, but when you go through the parade, you see all the police officers along the sign, you see public safety, you see the people picking up the trash and picking up on the sides. Everybody is working. I saw Donnie for a brief moment, but I have to tell you, there's a lot of work that goes in, especially in the setup for the walk run as well, and then to disassemble immediately so that the parade can start. The continuity is appreciated, and you just need to know that it doesn't go unnoticed. And I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Lawless.
Donnie, do you know what annual?
your turn.
I know, but I just want to ask you a question. A quick question. The run, is that?
I was looking for that. I don't have that. I was looking for an old, folder to see. So unfortunately, I'll keep looking. I'm not exactly sure.
Because I remember we only had 115 runners the first year. And I
Well, if
thought,
it's up to 800?
but yeah, that's amazing. Good job. Thank you.
Mr. Lawless.
Yeah, thank you I was going to talk about the Veterans Day Parade and just all the different pieces that goes to make that such a great event, and we do not charge. I just wanted to reinforce that. So thank you, Councilmember Stowe, for calling that out. Just a couple of things coming up. We get to do this all over again for the Christmas parade in a week and a half. So on December 1st, Thursday, December 1st, and then followed the next day on December 2nd. Mayor will be providing the State of the City as the city hosts First Friday Coffee. So hopefully you'll all be able to join us and support the mayor and support the city as it hosts that event.
Thank you. Well, it is 8:24, and we will be going back into closed session. However, you can take a 10-minute break on your way to closed session. So, I'm going by that one.